Hello, weirdos.
Welcome back.
Hope everyone has had a good week.
Yeah. I hope you did too. I've had sinus headaches all week, so.
It's just been a week. I had some good news this week as of when we're recording this.
Yeah.
So I've been having since about the mid part of December, mid-December. I was having I woke up one morning feeling like I had slept wrong on my neck, and then it moved into my shoulder and down to my arm, and it got real bad.
Yeah.
And so I have a slip disc in my neck.
Fun.
Yeah. So I've been going to the orthopedic doctor for that. I've been to a couple different doctors. I've been doing physical therapy. So I went on Monday for my 6-week follow-up, and they told me that everything was looking good. I've had little to no pain in the past little while, and basically just finish up my round of physical therapy, and I'm done with that. I don't have to go back to the ortho. I just have to do home exercises until I die. And then I went to physical therapy on Tuesday, and I was supposed to go Tuesday and Friday of this week, and he said, cancel your Friday appointment, don't come back for 2 weeks, and then that'll be your last appointment. Mm-hmm. And so I'm almost done.
Nice.
I'm pretty excited about it.
There's 35 though.
Wake up one morning with your neck all messed up. You slept on your neck so wrong that it slipped the whole disc.
What were you doing?
I was sleeping. It was literally nothing. I wish I had a cool story. I wish I could tell you that there was dirty things going on.
Or skydiving or...
I know. I wish. Because even my mom was like, are you sure it was just the way you slept on it? She was really expecting for me to come up with something. And I'm like, I could have just spun a whole story and been like, no, it was some freaky stuff going on.
Right.
But no, I don't have a cool story. I literally just slept wrong. That's what triggered it. I'm sure the disc was already half slipped anyway. But
yeah. And you just
pushed it over the edge with sleeping.
And it said, you know what? We don't like where we're sitting.
Right. Today's the day.
We're moving.
Today's the day.
Today is the day. So, I wanted to...
Oh, you have a whole list of topics?
Well, I'm just going to do one an episode because
okay.
I'll just come up with them as they go.
You.
So,
okay.
I've got little hot takes.
Okay. I'm ready.
That I've been saving on my phone.
I forgot we discussed this.
So, for this episode, my hot take is people who live in landlocked states and sport the Salt Life stickers on their cars. Why? What salt? A salt block? Because it's definitely not the ocean because that's almost 7 hours away. Why? Why do you have a Salt Life sticker? We live in Tennessee.
Maybe they used to live in Florida.
Fair enough.
Maybe they just really
But you need to state that on the back of your car.
Maybe
I didn't used to live. Maybe I didn't used to live.
Well, I'm a fan of the Salt Life, but I'm not going to sport a Salt Life sticker.
Get a t-shirt.
Yeah.
Or get some flip-flops. Maybe an air freshener. Maybe there's an air freshener or a little bracelet, a little friendship bracelet that says Salt Life. Be my guest. But why do you have to permanently put it on your car? Well, it's not permanent. You can take a sticker off. But I'm just saying. It seems... I don't know. It seems
when I tell you, this has
insane.
been an ick of hers for years.
For a long time, yeah.
Years. I've heard her mention this on numerous occasions for years.
Yeah.
Oh, I was going to tell you, too.
My next episode one's controversial.
I'm excited. I was going to tell you.
I might anger a few people. But I'm going to be nice about it.
Okay.
I'm not going to be mean.
Well, I was going to tell you.
Mm-hmm.
So I was telling you earlier that, those days where I have an energy drink and I'm like squirrel on crack and you're like, I can't handle you.
Mm-hmm.
So I was telling my sister about this and she goes, because I was like, she goes, maybe you should do that on a night that y'all record because I bet the listeners would enjoy hearing you two bicker back and forth. And I was like, we don't bicker. I was like, you guys would never hear that because we don't do it.
No.
But I mean, it might be funny, but I'm not going to pick a fight with you just so that we can bicker on the podcast. But no, we don't.
Funny that you mention it. I do have an...
Are we bickering? Are we bickering today?
No.
We don't do that. If we have a disagreement about something, we just agree to disagree and we just don't talk about it anymore.
Fair enough. We just I forget it exists.
You'll speak up and tell me how you feel about it very nonchalantly, and then we're like, okay, we're done with this conversation now. That's just how that goes.
Right.
That's how a friendship makes it for 20-something years.
Yeah.
Like,
if it's not something that's a comfortable topic for the two of you to talk about
just
together,
don't discuss
just
it.
don't discuss it.
Avoid
Ignore it.
Avoid it.
Talk about it with your other friends. Oh, Lord.
Well, you got anything to fill us in about your week?
I'm down almost 50 pounds.
I'm so proud of you.
I bought some new clothes. I got my tax return, so I bought me some new clothes.
I'm waiting on mine.
I got some new pants. I really
thought you were about to say panties.
I did get some of those too, because mine were on their last leg. I've been like really just trying to stretch one of them out. They're holding on with a lick and a promise, and I finally got to throw them away today.
Look at you.
I'm
so proud of you.
But
and I really do. I like legitimately. I know that my tone probably sounds like I'm being facetious, but I am very proud.
I believe you.
I'm very proud.
I think.
I listen.
But best of all, I bought, and this might be TMI. Nobody wants to hear about my bras, but listen, I have a problem.
And the girly listeners understand.
Yeah. So I bought a new bra. Okay. I buy them and then I end up not liking them and they sit in the drawer because I have this one bra that I in particular like. You remember when I bought the taco bra?
I knew that's where this was going.
So you haven't seen the taco bra in a while, have you?
No.
Okay. Yeah. It doesn't look like it used to.
It
too is on its last leg.
Yeah. I have an Old Navy sports bra that I've worn for years.
It looks like it got stuck in a meat grinder once. It's falling apart. I can't find another one like it. And it's just comfortable. And even like when I wore it I went for a stress test and the lady, I did the medicinal one. And the lady was putting the little stickers on me so they could like measure everything while they gave me the medicine to do it. And she like lifts up my shirt to put one on my chest and she goes, "Oh, tacos." and I'm like, "Oh, I should have put on the good bra today because this one looks mangled. Bless its heart. It's another piece of clothing that's just hanging on by a lick and a promise." And that's it.
Well,
but hopefully the new replacement will be, I measured myself for it and everything.
Look at you.
So hopefully it'll work out. I hope.
Old Navy sports bra I had, I don't remember when I bought it, but I've had it for like minimum 10 years. But it's not torn up. Like that is the best quality sports bra I've ever had. And I wear it like, I would venture to say 5 out of 7 days.
Yeah. I definitely bought this one in 2019. So it's only 5 years old. And I think I bought this one when Maddie was little. Yeah. And it's like, it's not doing anything. It's just keeping them from hanging so low. Yeah. But it's not supporting nothing.
Mine does. That's my
This don't.
It's the best supporting.
It's so loose. It's so loose. I have to, whenever, like, because I'm also notorious for, I'll just hang it on the doorknob and then I'll just keep putting it on. And then I'll finally wash it, and then it'll fit so much better. Right. Yeah. And I'm like, why didn't I do this 2 weeks ago?
Let's have a 10-second pause to realize that today, the day of recording, is February 24th, meaning that in 1, 2, 3 weeks, your niece will be 15.
Gross. Like, congrats, but gross.
Congrats on keeping her alive for 15 years. It's been a struggle. All right, you ready to get into it?
I sure am.
This month's addition to the spooky states, we're going to hit up Delaware.
Yeah.
Are you excited?
Yeah, I've got plenty of things.
This is that whole cluster of states that you were so excited to do.
Yeah. Delaware's not as New England-y. Like, it is a New England state, I think. I don't know. That would take Mr. Google to tell me that. Is Delaware new? That told me nothing.
Oh, well, whatever.
Anyway.
It's one of the oldest states, is it not?
Yeah. But anywho, but what I'm really excited for is like states like Massachusetts and Pennsylvania.
Yeah. It's going to be a while.
Yeah.
All right. So let's get into it. I'm going to start us off with, I have 2 stories and then I have some other stuff for you guys after Brittany does her part. This first one is Old Maggie's Bridge. I feel like every state has at least one of these bridges that has a tragic story that creates a spooky tale for the kids to talk about. And Delaware is no exception. The story goes a little something like this. Somewhere around 2 centuries ago, a woman who happened to be with child by the name of Maggie Bloxam was crossing the bridge heading home. Something in the dark spooked her horse and sent her carriage flipping into the shallow creek. Since then, it is said that she haunts the bridge.
Her stagecoach, would you say?
Probably. It just said carriage. Oh my God! Stop it. There's a backstory to that I'm not going to share.
No, we're not going to share that here.
Reeling in the F words.
Anyway, continuing on.
Now, there are a lot of times that you hear these stories and there's no solid evidence to back it up. We've seen a couple of these kind of things.
Yeah.
However, in this case, Maggie is in fact buried in a private cemetery not far from that exact bridge.
Oh my God.
The legend says, and I have read that locals will tell tourists that if you park near the bridge and walk toward the creek and yell, "Maggie, I have your baby," you may be able to hear cries and sobs coming from the woods.
Aww.
In case you're planning a trip to Delaware and want to try it out, the bridge is located in Seaford, Delaware, with its very own address, 4850 Woodland Church Road.
That's crazy.
And then the next one I have is Bowers Harbor Inn, now known as Mission Table. This historic restaurant has been the top of the town's list of haunted spots for decades. But to understand the full story on the haunting, I'm going to take a page out of Brittany's book and hit you with some history. In a story that was ran in the Grand Traverse Journal, dated October 1st of 2014, a local historian and author, Julie Shapire, laid out the history of Bowers Harbor Inn. In 1909, the land that was first a farm owned by Chester and Anna Hartson was bought by Jenny E. Stickney and her husband, Charles F. Stickney.
Mr. Hubby.
This would be their spring through fall home. The farmhouse they lived in was located on the very spot that Mission Table now sits. In 1910, Charles, using his knowledge he gained by following his dad and granddad into the shoe and boot business, used his business skills to promote the harvest and food processing business by partnering with J.C. Howe to establish the Howe and Stickney Canning Company. In 1927, a fire broke out and damaged the farmhouse. Jenny took this opportunity to hire her nephew, who was a well-known architect. Sorry, I got a phone call. I was making sure it wasn't important. Jenny took this opportunity to hire her nephew, who was also a well-known architect, Kenneth Rothen, and his business partner, Percy Dwight Bentley. She tasked them with building a larger home around what was left of the farmhouse with a budget of around $175,000. Today, that would be $3,032,000 or $3,032,799.43. This new home was perfect for Jenny to serve her own jams, jellies, brandies, and pies that she made from the fruits grown on the property while entertaining. As the Stickneys got old and their health started going downhill, they decided to hire a personal nurse to come and take care of them. Jenny had... I'm so stupid. My notes literally say, Jenny had the beaties. Jenny had diabetes.
What kind of outfit are we running around here?
Heart disease, and it was believed in her later years that she suffered from dementia. This particular nurse and her children lived with them in Bowers Harbor during the summers and then would travel with them in the winter months. Jenny passed in March of 1947 at the Pantland Hotel in Grand Rapids. They were living in a suite there for the winter. Charles didn't pass until 2 years later in a hospital in Traverse City. Their fortune was left to the caregiver as they had no children to pass it on to. Now, on to the spooky stuff. One story indicates that Jenny Soule never left the home in Bowers Harbor because she hung herself there, as it is rumored that she found out that Charles was cheating, supposedly with this nurse.
No.
But I've just told you that that's not true.
Yeah.
But is there a ghost roaming the halls at Mission Table? And if so, who is it? Could it indeed be Jenny Stickney, who even though she died in Grand Rapids, returned in the afterlife to her home on the shores of beautiful Bowers Harbor? Could it be Chester, Anna, or Nita Hartson, all of whom passed away in the old farmhouse prior to the Stickneys' arrival? What my source says is, and it was a trusted source of that source, there's definitely something going on there. Linda Siebel, a resident of the area who worked at Bowers Harbor Inn, which is now Mission Table, and the Bowery, now the Jolly Pumpkin, from 1981 to 1993, she believes that the ghost there is in fact Jenny. She said that there were many odd events that happened to the staff in those years. Stories about her pranks of lighting candles after all the guests were gone to moving dishware in crazy places. There was an actual photograph taken of a silhouette of a body shape in the upstairs bedroom window. Anyone who worked there believed her presence was around us. Siebel says that Stickney's favorite place to be is the women's bathroom at the top of the spiral staircase. A friend, while using the restroom, had a roll of toilet paper unroll from the vanity and shoot toward her feet under the stall door. Absolutely not.
No,
if I'm sitting on the shitter and a roll of toilet paper shoots across the room at me,
and I'm supposed to be in there by myself,
right? Of course, she came out of there, and there was not a person in sight.
What would you do in that situation? Would you wipe or would you just bolt and then get the dingleberries later?
I don't know. I mean, in my experience, when something spooky happens while I'm on the shitter, I absolutely do finish wiping. I just do it real fast and hope that I don't get got before I'm done.
I would say same. Anything that when I've lived in this house by myself, I'd be in the bathroom and I hear something sus from out the rest of the house, knowing that all the cats are staring at me from the bedroom.
It was like that night that y'all were out of town and I was here by myself and I had to poop, and then the cats were acting weird the whole time I was in the bathroom, and I'm like, not today, Satan.
Did we have Willow already?
Yes.
Yeah, that was probably the problem.
Well, she was acting so weird. And
she's always weird.
Then there was noises, and I was like, I called somebody. I don't remember if it was you or my sister, and I'm like, I'm trying to shit, and there's some weird shit going on here.
Willow is a criminal. Let me tell you. If I leave my top drawer of my nightstand open, she's sticking her, even if it's a crack, she's sticking her little hand in there stealing stuff.
You leave her
and I'll find it under the bed months later when I got to move it because the little outlet, the Google outlet, quit working. And I got to unplug it and plug it back in.
Anyway.
She's a thief.
Siebel also has her own story that involves Stickney. It was late October, and I had worked a party in what was called the patio room, now Mission Table's bar area. I needed to carry many chairs back upstairs to the storage room. As I reached the top of the staircase with as many chairs as I could carry, I then pulled them across the carpet to the last room on the hallway, or in the hallway. Why am I struggling so hard?
I don't know. We usually do. We can talk fine all day long.
Right. As I passed by the women's bathroom dragging the chairs, I was stopped immediately from a force that would not let me move any further. I came to a stop and looked to see who or what it was resisting me. And, you would guess, there was not one person there. I instantly knew that Jenny had struck again. Siebel says that she loved working there and felt honored that Stickney even noticed that she was there. Another source, Sherry Borsall, who also worked at the restaurants, had a story that involved that same staircase. I was on the stairs taking dirty dishes to the Bowery kitchen, and something told me not to walk in the middle of the steps. She says, I moved over, and as soon as I did that, I felt someone try to trip me. I told Mrs. Stickney to knock it off.
That's just rude.
Current manager of the restaurants, Bethany Ryan, says that Jenny's ghost is definitely still there. She just likes to let them know that she's still around. She'll mess with the music and the lights, water faucets turn on, doors pop open by themselves. The grandfather clock that's no longer in service will chime on its own, especially in October.
I'm glad mine don't do that.
Right? Jennifer Fouch Dunwells, who is another source given, also says that her grandpa, John H. Britton, laid all the floors upstairs at the Bowers Harbor Inn. He told us it was one of the only times he was truly freaked out and scared to go to work. He was working alone after hours to lay the floors, and he kept hearing chains being dragged across the floor, along with the sound of someone walking, which there's always a story about chains being dragged when it comes to ghosts, and I don't understand.
And there probably ain't never been a chain in that house.
Right. Every time he would leave the space where he was working to find out who it was, he could never find anyone. Someone has even left a voice recorder in the elevator overnight, and when it was played back the next day, they got some interesting noises. They said that between the hours of 2 a.m. and 4 a.m., they heard what sounded like chains engaging in movement, a tea kettle whistling, and what sounded to be a pile of books being dropped on a table. Other reports involved lights suddenly turning on after they'd been turned off, dishes being moved, mirrors and paintings mysteriously falling off the walls, the elevator moving, and Jenny's image in the hallway mirror next to the upstairs bathroom.
I'd move out. I wouldn't want to live there.
There ain't nobody living there. It's a business now. It's a restaurant.
I wouldn't want to work there. I'd quit.
I'd be fine with it.
Is that all you've got?
That's it for my stories.
Also, I just wanted to point out. So you're drinking an energy drink, correct?
Yep. I needed it.
And earlier she cracked it open and she said, "Ooh, that was sour." That caught me off guard. It's Warheads flavored.
I'm aware. But usually these don't bother me, but I haven't had one of this flavor in forever.
There you go. I was sitting there looking at it. I was like, does that can say Warheads on it?
It's sour watermelon.
Ugh. Okay, my turn. Bear with me. My notes are 28 pages long.
I saw that.
Also,
and she was like, I don't understand why you can't find nothing in Delaware.
That's because I took it off.
Yes, and this was the episode that I was like, yes, I found a story and it's super meaty and I'm going to do it. I can't believe she didn't do it.
And I forgot to put it in my list.
And she did do it. She, in fact, something told me to go check.
Somewhere in the middle of my notes, I did it.
Something told me to go check because we've gotten to a point to where we list out the places that we do so that the other one has a quick reference. Mm-hmm. So I check the list. It's not there. And I'm like, something's telling me just to go check just in case. And sure as shit, there it was.
Right. Well,
bitch.
We can't all be as good as me.
Bitch.
Anyway. Also bear with me because my sinuses have been a wreck for the past week. And all of a sudden, I'd say an hour before we started recording, they were like, you know what? We're going to drain now. So my throat I might have to stop for water breaks.
Unacceptable. Unacceptable.
I require my 2-second water breaks by law.
We don't have a boss
for the
here.
job I don't get paid
I started
for.
To say, we don't have a boss here, and we don't get taxed for this, so there are no. I
don't know. Don't say we don't have a boss, because then Willow will show up and she'll think she's the boss, and we can't be having that. She'd be terrible at it, making sure she's not over here in this bed.
I haven't seen her since I've been here.
She was in the bedroom on the bed licking her feet. Ugh. So my first one is the Addie C. So the Addie C B&B, located in Bethany Beach, Delaware, is a Victorian retreat that offers stellar views of the sea and supreme comfort to its visitors. It is also one of Delaware's most haunted hotels. The Addie C B&B was built in 1901 and was named after John M. Addie. He wanted the place to be a summer retreat away from Pittsburgh. A plumber by trade, Addie used his skills to ensure that the Addie C was the first in the area to have indoor plumbing and gas lights. His family began renting it out for church groups during the Depression era. Since then, it has changed owners several times, but has been owned and operated by the Gravitt family, or Gravatt, maybe?
Whatever.
Family for over 25 years. It is clear from their website that there have been extensive renovations done, but the rooms look to be a more modern version of a Victorian style, if that makes any sense. Like, it's modernized, but there are still elements of the Victorian era, like with the furniture and stuff, but it looks like, it's not like a Victorian era mattress.
Right.
They'd get so many bad Google reviews. It has been reported that at least 3 rooms in the Addie C have paranormal activity, and those rooms are rooms 1, 6, and 11. The tub is said to shake violently in room 1, and many guests have said to experience it. There has been no cause of the shaking found.
So you're just like sitting in the tub taking a whole bath and it just starts shaking?
Yeah. Because I would imagine it's a clawfoot tub.
Yeah.
Keeping it with the period.
Yeah.
In room 6, guests have reported hearing organ music, which has also been reported by guests walking past this room. There is no organ in or near that room. I would hope there's not an organ in a room anyway.
I don't know. I'd be okay with it. Well, I'll say that if I'm not staying in that room and then
and then it starts playing. A guest favorite, room 11, is where the jacuzzi tub turns on and phones suddenly shut off. It is thought to be haunted by the original owner. It has also been reported that room 11 is haunted by the spirit of Paul Delaney, who once worked at the Addie C. Many guests choose to stay at the Addie C because of the eerie vibes these rooms give off. Though the 3 rooms are the only ones that have specific hauntings, it has not been unheard of to hear an unseen force running through the halls or footsteps on the roof. The footsteps on the roof are often heard in the dead of night and are reportedly those of Kurt Addy, who fell to his death from the roof many, many years ago. At certain times, the air will be filled with a perfume scent, and at other times, mysterious music will float through the building. Though the website doesn't mention any hauntings, it is said that the staff are quite friendly and embrace the spooky history of the Addie C. Next is the Bellevue Hall Mansion. William H. DuPont was born in 1896 and would go on to continue the family business, which had diversified into a chemical company. DuPont purchased this original Gothic Revival castle mansion, which was a semi-fixer-upper at the time. It also came with a lot of acreage. He transformed the mansion into a replica of President James Madison's home, Montpelier. He also greatly improved the recreation opportunities on the property, which included a top-of-the-line stable to accommodate his love of horses and tennis courts. The estate was eventually gifted to the state of Delaware in 1976. Now, the estate, which covers 328 acres and overlooks the Delaware River, is used as a beautiful park and has a recreational/arts center. When the state of Delaware transformed this property into a park, the 3-story mansion was completely renovated back to its original state. As you can imagine, there are several members on staff, and many of them have reported paranormal activities occurring on the 2nd and 3rd floors, and these areas are closed to the public. Staff have reported echoes of disembodied laughter as well as piercing screams which emanate from the 2nd and 3rd floors. The dining room has also been a place where strange things occur. Staff have reported discovering chairs in unusual arrangements, which add another level of intrigue to the mansion. One of my sources said that there is a virtual tour available of the mansion. However, I was not able to find one on the Delaware State Parks website, and as far as I can tell, it is now an event hall that can be rented for private events such as weddings. So there was really not a whole hell of a lot on that.
That reminds me. Side story, getting off topic for a second.
That is not allowed.
Bitch.
I'm just kidding. I have ADHD.
Oh.
That's going to happen.
There is an event space near Erin, Tennessee.
Mm-hmm.
We were kind of driving around one day and just here recently,
Mm-hmm.
just for the sake of driving around.
Yeah.
Um,
With these gas prices?
This place is absolutely gorgeous. And it's like when we drove past it, I was like, I don't know, because I didn't immediately know what it was. I had to Google it and find out what it was. Now I can't find it. I'm going to look on my phone instead of laptop. That's not it. Anyway, you drive past it and you see this one building. And I was like, my immediate thought was, oh, that place is haunted AF.
Yeah.
I'm going to be real upset if I can't find it now because I want you to look it up.
Was it just a house or was it like a wedding
No,
venue?
it's like there's like multiple places on this place or on this property that you can get married in a cave. It was cool as shit. I want to say, is it Casa Loma? Because that's what keeps popping up, but I don't think that was it.
The Ruskin?
That's it, the Ruskin. It was gorgeous.
Oh.
What was that?
My,
that's considered Dixon?
Yeah. My, what do you call it? Antivirus was like, no, you can't go to this website. Ooh, yeah. I think
You see the cave one?
Yeah, that's the first thing that pops up. I don't want to get married in a cave.
I don't know. It's pretty cool looking. I mean,
it's
pretty
cool
sweet.
looking, but I don't know. I feel like our ancestors would be like, we got out of there. What are y'all doing going back? I don't know. This man in this one wedding photo on their Facebook page, he looks like a dork. I'm just saying.
I think
Somebody
that they
had to
lost
say it.
their website domain.
They might have. It looked like it.
Because if I go to it, doesn't matter how I try to get there, it doesn't work. But it's absolutely gorgeous.
They've got
So
old
if you look at their
photos on here,
Insta, there's like a picture of like a 3-story house with balconies on the second and third floor.
Yeah, is it at night
Yes.
with the lights
That's
on?
the house that I
That's
saw from the
creepy.
road. And I was immediately like, that place feels dark. So there's an old picture of it too. With other buildings surrounding it. But yeah, it's absolutely
now on the
gorgeous.
little hillside with all these little steps.
Right.
I'd get married there.
There's
but
a ton of places.
I'd have to
there.
do it barefoot because anything else I'd fall.
I'm telling you. I mean, I'm obviously not going to do that all over again, but like, I'd get married in a cave. That is cool as hell looking.
One property, many venues.
Yeah, right.
That is pretty. Oh my gosh, they got a swing set that holds like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 people.
I missed that. Hold on. Is it on their Insta?
I have no idea. I'm on their Facebook page.
Anyway, sorry.
Any hoot.
I got sidetracked, but you said wedding venue, and I thought of that, and I was like, oh, I meant to tell you about that. And that was one of those times where if I didn't say it like right now, I was going to forget again.
Fair enough. All right.
Ooh, sorry.
What? Oh my gosh.
With a black wedding dress and all, she's
Oh
gorgeous.
my gosh.
Anyway, sorry, continue.
Catman's grave. In southeastern Delaware, at the end of a dirt road, sits a cemetery that dates back to the 1800s called Long Cemetery. It is also known as Colonel Armwell Long Cemetery. The colonel served in the Revolutionary War with George Washington, and when he died in 1934, he was buried in the small family plot with his wife and son. I think that might supposed to have been 1834. Because if he fought with George Washington, he lived at least a couple hundred years. Anyway, he was buried in a small family plot with his wife and son, as well as a few of his other family members. The land, which was owned by the Layton family, was converted into a public cemetery, and they named it in Armwell's honor and cited him as being the first official burial here. This has absolutely nothing to do with the Catman. It's just a little tidbit on the history of the cemetery that I just found fascinating. A former caretaker who was called Catman due to his cat-like features. He lived nearby and would spend much of his time trying to prevent the local teenagers from coming into the cemetery to party or just be a public nuisance. When the Catman died, he was interred in an above-ground crypt within the cemetery. Apparently, the Catman took his caretaker duties so seriously that he continues to care for the cemetery in death. His crypt was removed in 1994 at the request of his family due to too much vandalism to it. Catman and the four others who claimed it as their final resting place were all given traditional in-ground burials. Prior to the crypt being, I don't have any elaboration on that, by the way. I didn't know that there were 5 people in the same little above-ground crypt. Because I'm thinking of something that's not big, but it must have been larger.
Right.
But there are no pictures of it, so I don't know. Prior to the crypt being removed, people would report seeing strange scratches on the inside as if a cat had clawed at it. It is reported that Catman still has little patience for people messing around in the cemetery. It is believed that if you knock on the remains of the brick wall at the back of the cemetery 3 times, that you will summon Catman and he will cause the visitor's car to fail, which makes it difficult to leave.
No, thank you.
According to a comment that was left by someone in 2019 on DelawareHauntedHouses.com, it says, I literally live next to it and drive my ATV around there, and I have seen some unusual things that I can't explain. My ATV wouldn't start for a couple of minutes.
Mm-mm.
That's
always been like my biggest fear is when we go hunting.
That's why, don't turn the car off.
Right. Is when we get out.
And if it starts acting funky, because I think that's happened to us once where it started kind of acting like it was gonna die.
Well, there for a while we were doing it. We were going and, because I always drive. Did you guys hear that audible eye roll?
I'm a passenger princess through and through.
Anyway, even before it was just you and me.
I just don't like driving.
Everybody.
I would drive every once in a while, but
also that other person's driving scares me tremendously.
I'll say mine's not much better. But I drive better than Daniel. I just want everybody to know that.
What was it, a month after my hip surgery, and you're letting go of the wheel because somebody pulled out in front of you? Anyway.
Excuse me, I have road rage.
Anyway, no, we take the Jeep Cherokee that I had that would constantly overheat because the fan wouldn't work. And so, it would act weird, but anyway, continue on.
The John Dickinson Plantation. This is the one you wanted to do, right?
I think so.
Yeah, I think so, because it's the one not on the list. The John Dickinson Plantation was his childhood home. The house was built on 13,000 acres in 1739 and was completed in 1740 by the father of John Dickinson, Judge Samuel Dickinson. John Dickinson was a lawyer and politician who spent much of his time in Philadelphia, PA, and Wilmington, Delaware. He served as a continental congressman for both states I can't see congressman without giggling now. For both states at various times. He was also the president of Delaware and the president of Pennsylvania on occasion as well. I didn't realize each state had their own president, but now we just call him a governor, I guess. At the time of John's life, the plantation was known as Poplar Hall. John was also one of the largest slave owners in the Delaware Valley, with at least 59 men, women, and children in his possession. In 1786, a year prior to the Constitutional Convention beginning, Dickinson, recognizing the blatant hypocrisy of fighting for freedom while holding laborers in bondage, freed all of his slaves and was the only founding father to do so during his lifetime. Some remained working as tenant farmers, Some that could no longer work were provided for and lived in the peach orchard with instructions for them to not be disturbed. In 2021, a burial ground was located on the property that likely holds the slaves and other African Americans who lived, worked, and died on the property. But anyway, it is said that the mansion is haunted by John Dickinson himself. The sound of a quill pen writing on paper has been recorded in the den, and his bed becomes mysteriously ruffled during the afternoon as though he had just gone to take a nap.
Life was so much better back then when it was acceptable for you to just take a nap every afternoon.
I know, wasn't it? It's not like kindergarten. Some comments on hauntedplaces.org say, the haunting could be attributed to John's father, Judge Samuel Dickinson, and this could be who was writing with a quill or sleeping in the bed, as John spent very little time at the home during his childhood. Someone else said that they went there on a field trip in 2013 and that they experienced the feeling of being watched constantly until leaving the mansion. They also said that the painting of Dickinson's wife seemed to follow them with her eyes as they walked by. She said that even the dolls that they had were extremely creepy, and she said that she could have sworn that she saw all of them move when the group was upstairs and one of them fell off of a chair. She also claimed to see a ghostly figure in the window as they stood outside of the mansion. Now, I do feel the need to say that this person had to have been in like 7th grade at the time they wrote this, because they claim to have been in the 4th grade during the field trip in 2013, and the comment was written in 2016. So it very much read like a middle schooler wrote it. So I would just take that with a grain of salt. But it was very interesting, so I included it, just in case. You know, she might have been truthful. Who knows? Another person wrote that when he and his family visited the mansion, that they had no clue that the place was haunted. He said the next day, his 9-year-old son said that he didn't want to go back there. When he and his wife asked him why, he said that he saw people and heard voices inside the house and around the grounds. The man found himself on this website after doing some research on the plantation. Any questions, comments, concerns?
No.
Next, we have Fort Delaware. No longer serving as a harbor defense facility, Fort Delaware sits inactive for the most part. Fort Delaware is listed as one of the most haunted forts in America. Sitting on Pea Patch Island. That sounds so cute.
It does.
Pea Patch Island. The fort has been owned by the military since the 1810s, when it was seized from Dr. Henry Gale, who was using it as his private hunting ground. The French built the fort to protect Delaware from the Confederates and other enemies. In 1812, Captain Samuel Babcock oversaw the fortification efforts to make the fort defenses stronger. He had sea walls and dikes built, and by the time construction was completed, it was 1817. Today, the second version remains on the island and is a pentagonal style, which was designed by Captain Delafield and was built from 1848 to 1859, but was not officially declared complete until 1868. When it served as a prison camp for Confederate soldiers during the Civil War, it held nearly 13,000 prisoners at one time. And over the course of the entire war, approximately 33,000 prisoners passed through the barracks on the grounds. Also, while I'm thinking about it, fun fact, so I'm a member of our county's like historical thing. So they posted not too long ago, like the census records, like of the entire county's population. And let's see, maybe I can find it real fast. No, that's not what I wanted. Let me search. There it is, because I posted it not too long ago, so it shouldn't be too hard to find. I don't want your tagged photos. I want your photos. Because somebody was like, what happened during this year? And they were like, there was a war. Where is it? Where is it? That's all my stuff I sent them. I don't want that. I don't want that. Anyway, I'm never gonna find it.
Oh,
I almost said it. But so like we had like it was like 7,000 something and 18 something, and then it went up to like 8,000 something, and then it went up a little bit more, and then it dropped by 1,000. And somebody commented on it. I was like, I wonder what the drop was during 1860. What happened in 1860?
Google is your friend.
And they were like, it was probably the war. Anyway, I thought of that. I was like, where were you at during history class? Because I had a U.S. history teacher whose special interest was the Civil War. The conditions were less than ideal, and approximately 2,500 men died at the fort, many of which are buried at Finn's Point National Cemetery. Near the end of World War II, the fort was abandoned, and in 1951, it became a state park. Pea Patch Island is not only home to several different species of animals, but also to a few ghosts as well. The Blue Man was photographed by a visitor who was looking for the spirits of children that allegedly haunted the officers' quarters. Diamond State Ghost Investigators, or DSGI, lead tours of the fort in the fall, where guests have the chance to use some of the most common equipment to try to experience the paranormal. Got indigestion over here. According to the team members, there is no doubt that the fort is haunted. Some tell of doors opening and closing on their own, hearing footsteps when no one else is around, and shadow people seeming to lurk in the distance. Which, we'll come to that in a later episode. What shadow people could be.
Oh.
Ghost hunters visited the fort during season 4, and investigators reported hearing cannon fire, seeing a person on the thermal imaging camera, and someone was touched by a spirit. The group also caught a few EVPs that they could not debunk.
Excuse me. Sorry, I didn't mean to burp in the microphone.
Yes, you did. I saw it. One of the most active areas of the fort is the kitchen. It is said that near the stove it is very cold, and is said to be the spirit of a slave woman who served as a cook. The staff have reported kitchen utensils and other kitchen items being moved around. In the Ghost Hunters episode, which I rewatched just while I was doing these notes, in the Ghost Hunters episode, this was one of the most active areas. Jason and Grant are using some kitchen items to get a spirit to communicate with them. They caught an EVP that they didn't hear at the time that sounded to them when they listened to it as someone saying kitchen. I personally didn't hear that. That's not what I interpreted it to say, but that's what they heard. Then that's all that matters. During their session here, they also experienced a very loud bang, which the entire team heard from all across the property. There was no visible means for this noise to have occurred, and when speaking with the historian when delivering their findings, he said that it had also been heard by staff, and they all agreed that it sounded like a cannon. It didn't sound like a cannon. One of the investigators claimed to have had his jacket pulled hard enough that he was pulled backwards. I don't know if it was this episode, but I know that there is an episode where Grant has his jacket grabbed and he is pulled back, and the cameraman caught it. And it definitely looked like something pinched his jacket and pulled back. I don't know. Like I said, I don't know if it was this episode or not, but if I was a skeptic and saw that, I probably would not still be a skeptic. The mess hall is also said to be haunted. According to one account of a parent who chaperoned her kid's field trip to the fort, said on lamography.com, in it hangs an officer's portrait, which the kids told me turned into a skull if you stared at it long enough.
Ew.
This was one of the first things that most of the children wanted to see. She went on to say that given the high contrast of the blacks and whites of the photo and the shape of the man's face, that she could see why the eyes could play tricks and make it look as though you were seeing a skull, but she didn't experience anything unusual. It is also rumored that the spirits of Confederate soldiers are still roaming the grounds looking for a way to escape. One of the more popular stories is of a 9-year-old Confederate drummer boy who attempted to fake his own death in order to be transported back across the river in a coffin. Waiting for him on the other side was supposed to be some sympathetic Union troops or fellow prisoners who were to help free him from the coffin. Unfortunately, though, there was a shift change, and instead of being freed, the boy was buried alive.
Oh, no.
It is unclear if this story is rooted in fact, but it is a tale that is shared by some of the staff at the fort. The spirit of Confederate, is it Brigadier?
That's what I would say.
Okay. General James Archer is said to still be moving about Fort Delaware. He was taken prisoner and was very ill when he arrived at Fort Delaware. He was taken to the dungeon area as punishment for organizing a prisoner uprising. A few months later, after being freed in a prisoner exchange, Archer died due to his illness and imprisonment. It is reported that a bearded man dressed in a gray uniform is seen moving around the powder, magazine, and dungeon areas. On some of the stone staircases, it is reported that spirits will touch your arms and your back. They will also make noises, which include yelling and footsteps. In the dungeon, people have reported hearing the sounds of moaning and clanging chains, presumably from the prisoners who were held here for so long. You're right, there always is chains.
See?
Some have reported seeing apparitions throughout the dungeon areas as well, including shadow people who will
Dart. I'm betting.
What did I mean?
I'm betting you meant who will dart down dark tunnels.
I think you're right. Shadow people who will dart down tunnels and through doorways. Usually I'll kind of skim these. At least I'm trying to now because there's a lot of errors. There have also been numerous reports of people being poked or pulled at in the dungeon. Potentially a more residual haunting under the ramparts and the parade grounds, people have witnessed fleeing Confederate soldiers, which seems to be an emotional imprint of a failed escape attempt. One park ranger found themselves surprised to see a pirate dressed in a beautiful green silk shirt and white pants. He was looking out of a window at the fort, seeming to be yearning to be free, and perhaps was totally unaware that he was dead.
My favorite hauntings are the ones that are just residual. Ones that just move on about like they're still there.
Yeah, I mean, it's like the time I was cleaning out my granny's house.
Right, and we refer back to that every time I mention that.
Yeah, because it was just the most bizarre thing. Like, I lived there, and I never experienced anything like that.
No, and anytime that I'd come over and visit, I never felt anything.
It wasn't until it was empty.
Right.
But, I don't know, that one was weird.
I wonder if she ever experienced anything there.
If she did, she didn't mention it, and I don't think she was that big of a believer either.
I could see that.
Yeah, because my dad's not either. I don't think they were into that. But my last one, I think it's my last one. It should be. Yeah. Woodburn Governor's House. Woodburn Mansion was built in 1790 and remains as one of the most perfect examples of a Georgian-style mansion. The house had 7 bedrooms and has housed many of Delaware's wealthiest citizens, including senators, politicians, wealthy farmers, doctors, and other members of the elite. Besides the 7 bedrooms, the mansion also includes a stately drawing room, music and dining rooms, wide hallways, and a cellar. The first documented ghost at the Woodburn Mansion was around 1815, about 25 years after the home was built. Dr. and Mrs. Martin Bates were the owners at that time and were entertaining one Mr. Lorenzo Dow, who was a well-known I don't know how to pronounce that word, but I did put in parentheses, meaning a person who alternates between working and wandering, a person who travels from place to place, particularly for duty or business. But he was a Methodist preacher. One morning at breakfast, Mrs. Bates asked that Mr. Dow begin the meal with a prayer. Mr. Dow hesitated and asked if they should wait until the other house guests arrived to the table. This was surprising to Mrs. Bates as there were no other house guests. Mr. Dow went on to describe in detail a gentleman that he had met on the staircase. He said that the older man wore a powdered wig, knee breeches, and a ruffled shirt. Mrs. Bates was bothered by this description as it was an exact account of what her father, Mr. Charles Hilliard III, looked like. Mr. Hilliard was the builder of Woodburn and has been witnessed by more than just Mr. Dow in the years since. It was well known that Mr. Hilliard enjoyed a strong drink, and if a glass of wine is left downstairs at Woodburn during the night, it will be found empty the next morning, indicating that Mr. Hilliard was on the prowl. Another previous owner, Mr. Frank Hall, claimed to sometimes pass Mr. Hilliard on the stairs and described him just as many others before him had described him. Governor Tribbitt's wife, Jean, would regularly check for the ghost of Mr. Hilliard. She would often leave wine out for him, but never had any results. She said, "I made sure that I didn't tell my husband I was doing this, or he would have drank the wine just to tease me." One of the more haunted rooms of the home is the dining room. The wives of former governors have heard scampering footsteps in the dining room at all hours of the night, and Revolutionary-era men have been seen floating across the room. The wine ghosts also seem to indulge whenever wine is left out in the dining room. While many of the ghosts at Woodburn seem to be friendly and fun, there are some that like to have a little too much fun. When Governor Charles Terry Jr., the first governor to live in the mansion after the state purchased it, was living in the mansion, one ghost in particular would be seen helping himself to the vintage wines in the dining room. Knowing that Mr. Hilliard had a love of wine, Governor Terry would have a glass of wine in the dining room in the evening. The first time he finished his glass, got up to go to bed, turned back around and filled an empty cup on the table and left it beside his empty cup. And then he went up to bed. The next morning, both glasses were empty. Another previous owner of Woodburn claimed that he would fill the wine decanter up every night and find it empty the next morning. Often, these wine-loving spirits will be seen wearing Revolutionary-style clothes. There is one spirit who is quite young and can often be seen in the garden wearing a red checkered gingham dress. The first report of her playing by the garden pool was during the 1940s. She loves to splash and play in the pools and fountains, and was even seen crashing the inauguration of Governor Michael Castle in 1985. During Governor Castle's term in office, he let a teacher and 3 of her students spend the night in the mansion. The students reported that a lady in the portrait that hung in one of the rooms kept smiling at them in a friendly, welcoming manner. Some of the guests of the governor felt as though something was tugging at them all through the ceremony. They later saw the young girl floating shyly in a corner of the reception hall. There is also another ghost who is thought to be much more unpleasant than the others, and that is of a Southern slave raider. The Woodburn Mansion was part of the Underground Railroad during the pre-Civil War time. Slaves would be hidden in the cellar until they could escape to boats on the nearby river. So the story goes, one night Southern raiders came to the mansion looking for runaway slaves. Daniel Cowgill, a Quaker who owned the mansion during this time, drove the raiders off. But one of the raiders decided to hide in the huge poplar tree that still remains in front of the mansion. As a result, this raider slipped and his head was caught in a hole in the tree, and he hung there until he died.
Oh.
On occasion, people have reported seeing his body hanging in the tree as he relives his death.
Nope.
The mansion was purchased by the state of Delaware in 1966, and funds were made available to completely restore, renovate, and decorate the mansion with furnishings and objects of the time it was built. These efforts make an authentic example of a 1790 Georgian mansion both on the inside and outside. And the Woodburn Mansion is open to the public Monday through Friday, but if you're in the area and you want to go, it's appointment only. That's it. That's all I have. Thank God. My throat hurts.
All right. So, to bring a little bit of fun, I have included 11 weirdest and strangest things that have ever happened in Delaware, as well as some weird laws. So, according to this,
don't mind me, I'm just eating some gummy bears.
It rained money.
Oh.
Hold on, I'm trying to read through this and paraphrase. They had, so at one point in 2012 or 2013, a helicopter was hovering above the city and began dropping thousands of dollars of cash from the sky. $10,000 was set aside in the memory of Leonard Mall, who ran a local bait and tackle shop in Lewes, Lewes. And, you know, apparently he was just, you know, a guy that everybody loved. $10,000 was set aside to be flown over the harbor and dropped for the strangers to enjoy. There's no documented proof of the event. But because everybody was
Kung Fu fighting.
Yeah. But yeah, so there's that. There was a shark that was caught by University of Delaware's researchers. A shark within a shark.
Oh.
So there's a picture. It's literally like they caught a shark, but it was eating a smaller shark. And so they actually caught the smaller shark, but the bigger shark came up with it.
Oh, no.
It's like, it says, it's like turducken, except for it's shark. Schools were on lockdown because of an emu. It says,
I can see that. Them things are mean.
For 2 months, a mysterious emu ran through Delaware, causing schools to be on lockdown and thousands of residents to worry about encountering the bird. Nobody ever claimed the emu, but it was finally captured in a neighborhood in Odessa and relocated to a new home at Delaware Ranch, where he was renamed Eddie Horace. The name Odessa. Schools. I just love it.
Odessa?
I just love it.
Locking down schools for an emu.
Right.
Like it was going to be able to open the doors. You imagine just kids screaming because an emu is chasing them into the school.
So this one says, everyone knows that the movie Fight Club was set in Wilmington, but fewer people know about the real life sequel. In 2012, a story broke about our future daycare in Dover when a video surfaced of 3 employees encouraging toddlers to fight each other. The video is hard to watch and really makes you wonder how women who were trusted with young children, who chose to make caring for young children their career, could put them in an awful reckless situation.
Listen.
All 3 women were arrested and charged with second-degree assault, reckless endangerment, endangering the welfare of children, and more.
Listen, I get it. But the first rule of Fight Club...
Nobody talks about Fight Club.
Exactly.
Nobody talks about Fight Club. This one, I'm debated on even leaving this one in because there's jokes that could be made, okay?
Come on, let me make a joke.
Joe Biden showed up in a women's locker room.
Oh, that's probably because he likes smelling people.
The Onion, it says...
You think he sniffs like Willow does? You can hear her from across the room.
It says The Onion has a famous series of articles highlighting ridiculous situations Joe Biden gets himself into. So I really had to double check to be sure this one wasn't satire. On equal pay
I think
day,
The Onion is satire.
well, on equal pay day, the vice president at the time, with the best of intentions, I'm sure, tweeted this photograph of himself in a women's locker room at the University of Delaware. It's just a little strange, though, because the college athletes do not get paid, and, well, the vice president is in their locker room. I'll keep the rest of the comments to myself.
Was it our current vice president?
No, it was Joe Biden. So he was vice president at the time.
He's never been vice president.
Yes, he was.
When?
Was he not?
No.
I feel like he was.
Oh, you're right. Never mind. I'm dumb.
Bitch. Don't fuck me.
During the
Obama
Obama
damn it! I said it. Don't mess with me like that.
Look at that. That's my ploy the whole time was you say that.
That's it.
I knew he was vice president the whole time.
All right. So then a 42-year-old woman in Frederica decided to end her life. She, I'm sure, didn't intend for it to make headlines the way that it did. She hung herself from a tree in her front yard along a busy road, but it was a few days before Halloween. So people thought it was a decoration.
Why would you do that? And then...
It took hours for somebody to be called to the scene and for them to realize that it was a real person.
Why would you do that? That's traumatizing.
Right. Hold on. I'm going to skip that one. Bob Marley worked for the DuPonts that you referred to.
Nice. I remember when we were in middle school and the DuPont company came and did a presentation in the multi-purpose room for us.
I don't think I remember that, but I do remember I knew of
I don't
DuPont
remember what they showed us, but
I remember like DuPont was like a thing of my childhood because my dad was like big into painting and stuff, and he worked for Peterbilt, and like it was a whole
I didn't know your dad worked for Peterbilt.
Oh yeah,
that's kind of
for
cool.
a long time.
Nice.
Anyway, I'm trying not to burp. Sorry.
No, she's not.
But yeah, it just says that Bob Marley worked as a DuPont lab assistant and was on the assembly line using the alias Donald Marley. He lived in Wilmington for a time and was certainly fit in with the rest of the workforce.
I was going to say, how did he get there?
In 1900, the village of Arden was established as a radical Georgist single-tax town by sculptor Frank Stevens and an architect Will Price. It was designed to be a utopian village. Arden established many practices that are unusual in the state of Delaware and throughout the country. For example, you can't buy or sell land in Arden. Only 99-year leases are to be used. The land is all held in a trust. To this day, Ardenites take pride in their arts and crafts culture and live together in a close-knit community. Attend Arden Fest to see it for yourself.
That's kind of nice.
I started to say that actually sounds
That's kind of nice because, like, I got my tax return money this week. And so I got my tax return and then paid taxes with it.
Right.
I paid my property taxes. Isn't that weird that I have to pay every year to own a piece of property?
Yeah. Every 2 years, Georgetown puts on a parade for Return Day, 2 days after the election day. The winners of that year's elections parade in horse-drawn carriages around the circle. So far, it sounds like a normal Democratic procession, but what makes it unique is that the tradition that goes along with the event. When Return Day first began, colonial leaders decided to bury the hatchet literally. To this day, Delaware's political winners and losers parade around town and ceremonially bury an actual hatchet in a tub of sand.
That's cute.
There was a license plate that was sold for $675,000.
We should do that for presidential elections. God, could you imagine? It would be a bloodbath.
Right.
Don't give any of them a hatchet.
Anyway, there was a license plate that was sold for $675,000.
For what?
It says, Delaware's relatively low population means that plenty of license plates have low numbers, and it's become a big deal in Delaware to have a low numbered plate. that's why in 2008, black tag license plate number 6 went up for public auction. What's insane, though, is that it sold for a record high price of $675,000.
That's insane.
It's literally C31589 if this is the actual license plate. So I don't know what they're talking about. I don't understand.
I was going to say, there's not even a 6 on there.
Right. But that's the weird things. Weird Delaware. R-rated movies shall not be shown at drive-in theaters.
I could see that. I mean, it's a drive-in. It's
right.
not like a closed-off theater.
It's illegal to fly over any body of water unless one is carrying sufficient supplies of food and drink. In Lowe's, L-E-W-E-S again, it's illegal to wear pants that are firm-fitting around the waist, and getting married on a dare is grounds for annulment.
Fair enough.
Right.
I don't know who's going to get married on a dare. I'd have picked truth. But
in Rehoboth Beach, you're not allowed to change clothes in your vehicle. Also,
I'd have been in trouble.
On Halloween, kids can only say trick or treat from 6 to 8 p.m. And if Halloween falls on a Sunday, they must trick or treat on October 30th during the same time interval. Also,
cheated. Them kids are cheated.
Right. You cannot whisper in church. This is all in the same town. No person shall pretend to sleep on a bench on the boardwalk.
I wish I knew how to throw my voice. I'd go in there and start whispering, make it sound like it was Kathy on aisle 4.
Changing into or out of a bathing suit in a public restaurant is prohibited.
In a restaurant?
Restroom. Oh. 6-year-old girls, 6-year-old girls may not run around without being fully clothed. I
hope all kids are fully clothed.
And what if they're 7? It's okay then?
That makes it creepy.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe it's like laws like that exist because like one time when my sister was little, she got naked and went outside and was playing on the swing set, and some old man stopped and was like, "Hey, did you know your daughter's naked?"
Alcohol may not be served in nightclubs if dancing is occurring on the premises at the same time.
What?
So there's no alcohol at the clubs. Like, can you imagine? Is there a gay bar there? Can you imagine a drag bar with no alcohol?
Are edibles allowed?
That's blasphemy.
Yeah, I know. That seems
gay bars have the best.
It's just
drinks.
the best, and it's a good vibe.
Ugh. Anyway,
if you've never been and you're okay with that kind of lifestyle, which you should be because it's not a choice. But anyway, I digress. You should go. Yeah, everybody should go to a drag show at least once in their lives. Just to see, because it's not, I don't know. I'm not going to get into it, but
I agree.
I think it's fun. I think it's harmless fun unless it is specified otherwise.
Right. And then the last one I have, which I find funny, yet I agree. In South Bethany, all persons must carry a bag with them at all times when they walk their dog in case said dog poops, or you face $100 fine.
Ooh.
Agreed.
Yeah, I do agree with that.
In public, absolutely. Now, is there a designated spot in my own yard for him to poop that I'm not cleaning? Go for it. Whatever, it's fine. But in public, there's on his leash, there is a little thing that carries little poop bags for us to pick it up if he goes.
Because, if you're walking, say you live in, a neighborhood that's got, sidewalks and whatever, if you're walking your dog in the evening or in the morning or whatever, and your dog poops on somebody's lawn and you don't clean it up,
right,
you're a butthole.
Despicable.
Can't pick it up. The dog can't pick it up themselves. And would you want a person coming in and shitting in your yard and leaving it there? No.
Excuse me.
Anyway.
So that's all I had. Now we're going to move on to our nonprofit. And I picked this one specifically. I just clicked on a button and I didn't mean to. Sorry. Hold on. Picked this one specifically
because
I knew you would love it.
This is not a professional outfit around here.
No. This one is called Forgotten Cats.
Oh.
It's for helping homeless cats.
Oh.
It says, at Forgotten Cats, our mission is to humanely reduce the homeless cat population and to stop the suffering of the thousands of kittens born to abandoned homeless cats. We do this by working with colony caretakers to trap, sterilize, vaccinate, and release every cat within a colony. But you can donate, you can volunteer, you can adopt, you can do all the things with them. I really liked that, and I figured you'd absolutely love it. And we're all the time talking about places for dogs.
Yeah.
So why not cats?
Yeah.
And as of on their website right now, urgent kitten fosters needed. So if you feel like you want to make a trip to Delaware, or if you live in Delaware, hit them up.
Or, I mean, even just look for organizations like that around where you live.
Right. In 2023, they had 1,800 placements, 20,794 spays and neuters, and 100% live release rate.
Nice. I wonder if they tip their ears.
I don't know. It doesn't say anything.
This way you could, if they've got a tipped ear, they won't catch them again and bring them in. It was like, Miss Lady, my Miss Lady. I got a picture of her over there behind you. It's only good when I got over. Miss Lady. She was a catch and release. She was caught, spayed, and released, and now she's probably across the Rainbow Bridge. I love that little kitty.
She was sweet. But yeah, that's what we got. You got anything to add?
No.
All right. So make sure that you guys are, what did we say? Casting your social circle.
Oh, yeah.
And following us on Facebook,
Instagram,
TikTok,
X.
Sending us your topic ideas, constructive criticism, just dropping us a line to say hello at our email.
You always say constructive criticism. I don't want to hear it.
Oh, don't read it. Anyway, wandersofweird at
gmail.com.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Thanks for another week, guys. We hope you've enjoyed it. We hope you come back next week. And if you're just now starting, go back and listen to the last year.
Yeah. It's definitely better now. So, if you don't want to go back, I kind of blame you.
True. I'm here for it.
And we'll see you next week.
Okay, bye.
Bye.